Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Pinball Arcade. So last time we did Diner, which was kind of a slightly step down from Taxi, from the same creator of Taxi, so not super enthused by that. Today we're looking at Dr. Dude and his excellent Ray, which this is a table that looks like it's probably selling on sex more than anything, or California dude mentality in the 90s, which I don't know if there really is an equivalent of that these days. Um, but yeah, this will be interesting. We haven't seen a table that's tried to sell on sex since pretty much Elvira, and even in that case, Elvira as a table is a licensed table that is selling on a character that was sold on sex. Anything before that, we'd have to look, but I think we might be going back as far as the 80s um, to think of another table. Anyways, Dr. Dude and his excellent Ray, 1990. Way cool pinball finally arrived with this great design from Dennis Nordman. The hotter the players get, the cooler they are when it comes to the ultimate dudeosity. The player's goal is to raise the dudeness level from plain dude to super dude through the spectacular gameplay, action, innovative scoring features, and attention grabbing effects. Notable features include the excellent Ray, Big Shot, Molecule, Mixmaster, and a gazillion point shot, where the score is potentially multiples millions of points. Is potentially multiple millions of points. Approximately 4,000 units of this table were produced. This feels like this is a ripoff, or at least heavily inspired by the 90s movies of like Weird Science. There was also Zapped. I think Zapped actually came out before Weird Science. This has those flippers that have the notches in them, which I really like the notches because it seems like if it's not a visual marker alone, it probably also affects how the flippers work. Uh, there is weirdness certainly in 2021 trying to talk about like dudes or the phrase dudes. Dude is still a thing, and see here we can see through this table again. Very inconsistent on the framing there. But yeah, it feels very Bill and Ted-ish to say dude so much, and even by the time Bill and Ted were saying dude so much, that was pretty much a joke. Looks like there's a standing target hidden behind this magnet. I'm not sure if there's a magnet ball type feature. If there is, this is the first table to have a magnet save or magnet catch in it since Black Knight 2000 and Black Knight. We haven't seen any other tables like that. We have a left lane that takes a fairly sharp right angle turn, so I don't know how often I'm gonna shoot up that alleyway and just lose momentum, and then it feeds back in a wavy way down to the end lane, which that might make a figure eight shot if, say, hitting this lane. I guess you're hitting this one, the gift of gab, which that's an interesting depiction of an idea. So if you sink it down in the gift of gab and then it comes back and waves back here, there's not really a real reason for the waves back and forth. It's just to keep it looking visually interesting, and it does slow down the ball a little bit. Not that it really matters too much, because just coming down the in lane almost always slows down the ball once you hit that corner. I guess that is something that a lot of pinball players wouldn't recognize. There's a big shot here with a toy of a character. I don't know if this is going to knock the big shot character down or pop him up and down, or if he may even inflate. He kind of looks like he might inflate and get even more muscular. There's quite a lot of drop down targets on the side there, and then we have the smaller pop-up bumpers and a standing target in the back. There's a ramp here that goes up to this, and then all the way around, and then to the molecule mixmaster, which looks to me to be a spinning disc table. So there's quite a lot going on this table. A rock and roll light also for hitting that, or maybe that's an arrow through the heart. Kind of looks like a guitar more than an arrow through the heart. This dude character here is very weird looking. This doctor character, Dr. Dude character, which the doctor element definitely feels like it's added just so you can have a nurse element in here, which is mixing its mentality quite a bit. And we're starting to see more and more tables that put lights on the back of the board. Here you have an excellent ray, which is just a spinning light, and more lights here. Guess when you launch the ball, it's going to go up here and around here, and that'll be your skill shot. No ABC lanes. Do we have kickbacks? Not seemingly. Do we have a center peg? Doesn't seem like it. Are we seeing anything else? And then either you zoom in Pinball Arcade, and you can get a nice picture of the copyright blurry at the bottom, or you zoom out and it's just so, at least in the DirectX 11 version, the light is so bright and so blown out that you can't see anything either. It's interesting that all the score here is one long line. I guess that is so you could potentially have a bazillion points, but they are actually two separate rows, because I bet they never really made anything that would have that many 9-segment LCD displays in a row. That would probably be pointless to do that. And then the rest of the table is just covered in art. So we kind of have to hope that the art is then repeated somewhat on the flyer if we're actually even going to see the backboard. This once again highlights where, if Pinball Arcade could get the licenses back to the tables and rebuild their engine, or maybe they don't even need licenses to a table to rebuild their engines, playing something like this in VR where you could look anywhere, or just being able to control the cameras so you could see everything, would be greatly appreciated. But there's definitely a lot of polish and tricks that simply just did not get added. So now we have seen a consistent run. This is a Bailey Midway tables, and I guess I like the Bailey Midway flippers. We've consistently seen issues though with tables that try to sell themselves on sites, usually playing pretty poorly. So we'll have to see if that stays true in the 90s. Score a Way Cool Award, we don't know what that is. Collect a Bag of Tricks Award. Score a Molecule Million. Score a Big Shot Value. Earn an extra ball. Those all sound like they are fairly easy things. And then I accidentally set the skin wrong. Alright, so that was the Way Cool Award, which several times now we have run into scenarios where it is like really, really easy to accomplish things. So it seems like there are two dudes that are gonna talk to each other. Although it seems like, to me, like there really is only one Dr. Dude, or there's two people that look very similar. There's the big shot value. So the big shot guy bounces up and down as you hit the targets. And am I supposed to... I guess I'm supposed to be heading for the Mixmaster again. I'm not really sure where we're supposed to be going to increase our dude meter, which seems to be our bonus multiplier. You would think that that would be slightly easier. I seem to have lit a special for the out lanes, so theoretically I'd want to drain out on the out lanes. This is another one of those tables where it doesn't have any extra third paddles or fourth paddles, which is nice because it means I can just focus on different shots. We still are getting, in these 90s tables, fairly busy. There is a lot on this table. Pretty much anywhere where I send the ball, it has some different ramp to go up to or target to hit. There's no empty spaces. So we've lit up I'm a Cool, I'm a Geek. I imagine I'm a Geek and I'm Cool are contradictory statements, which in 2021 you kind of wouldn't say that. I'm flipping the flippers because I don't know how that Mixmaster really works. So I'm not sure if I am potentially doing something or not. You can kind of see how the left lane ramp there can't be hit with the left flipper. It's just not strong enough. There I just earned an extra ball and the bumpers are at max. Even getting to the bumpers is really hard. I'd forgotten that it had even existed. Alright, so multi-ball now. 2-ball multi-ball from the looks of it.
Hey baby, can I buy you a cup of milk?
I feel like this table would be more understandable if this was just a Bill and Ted themed table. Because what you have here is something that's not quite the narrative of Weird Science, and certainly feels evocative of a lot of the nerd and dude characters. I'd say mostly dude characters, or wannabe dude characters, in several different movies, which would have been in the 80s that those movies would have come out. This table also feels fairly easy, like actually really far too easy, that one game, not even really knowing what I'm doing, I'm in the 3rd place already. Let's see. And our only goal here is to get the molecule million, which is the second time the bank of drop targets is completed. It lights molecule million on the ramp. When it's lit, shoot the ramp to score 1,000,000 points. Molecule million relights. Once the bank drops is complete 3 more times. At that point, the number of times the drop targets must be completed to relight. Molecule million increases by 1 each time it's lit. The lit molecule million can be shot, can also be stacked by completing bank targets. The required number of times to light molecule million more than once before it's collected. The third time the bank of drop targets is completed, lights extra ball, shoots a saucer to earn an extra ball. Extra ball earns. Okay, well, I think that pretty much explains what we're trying to do for the most part. No ball saver, no central peg, no kickbacks. Still running into those issues. And like oddly sexist again that there's a female character that seems to not have a single line of dialogue. But oddly also stupidly designed, because if this was going to be a table that was just selling on sex, they kind of dropped the ball there. So then it's selling on the concept of dude culture in the 90s, which just does not translate in 2021. Like yeah, the idea of making your personality or your focus around being a dude is laughably antiquated. Particularly since the geeks and the nerds have somewhat inherited the world. Dudes were kind of obsessed with their outward appearance and their hair and being seen as cool and being relaxed. But they weren't quite stoners. That what they are just dudes are basically just self-insert characters for movie, TV, and other kind of creative people. Old men, more than likely, inserting characters that they think would be considered cool or how they'd like to be seen themselves. But it's fairly narcissistic and self-centered. But more on that, like there kind of is no deeper culture to the dude idea other than being perceived as cool, being perceived as a dude. Like there's no passion or love for anything bigger. There's no activity surrounded around it other than just self-narcissism. At least a comic book nerd is known for being fans of comic books, or a Dungeons and Dragons nerd is known for being interested in Dungeons and Dragons. Even when you look at the Bill and Ted movies, they don't have any real focus.
Hey, how you doing?
In the teen, the Porky's type movies, which maybe those aren't for teens after all, at least those characters were on the prowl, trying to find potential girlfriends, and that's where Weird Science's focus was too, and that's really what Zap's focus was too. The Bill and Ted movie only makes sense because they have this ultimatum put on them that they'll get sent to. Sorry, I need to rub my eyes. I accidentally rubbed it with my fingers and now there's grease in my eye. They tell you never rub your face, and there's some truth to that. Like, Bill and Ted, in particular, only makes sense as a movie, and it only is a movie if there is the quest to do a history presentation to keep them from failing, to keep one of the two of the pair going to military school. So it had to be this whole external factor. Otherwise, they would have just been idiot stoners that wouldn't have accomplished anything or done anything. There is a question here. If this was supposed to be, and I have to assume that some of these tables were designed in the thought that they were going to get a license for movies, which even in the 90s, we're seeing from the curation that Pinball Arcade made, seems to not happen that often. But if this was supposed to be a Bill and Ted table, then maybe the gift of gab turns into the phone booth. Maybe you're calling back to specific historical characters. There was the two babes in the movie, the two princesses. I guess they were princesses. I think that's what they're referred to as. There was Rufus in the first movie. There's the parents. There was guitars, so that would make sense. I guess the spinner could be the act of going through different time zones. In the early 90s, I would say that you probably wouldn't do as good justice to even the movie, the Bill and Ted first movie, as much as you could in the late 90s and have different time zones that you go to, different time frames. Almost let that ball drain out completely. I kind of have forgotten what I was supposed to be doing, so I've just been kind of warming up and playing. Mixmaster is now activated. And seemingly the Mixmaster is now dead. Timed out. Yeah. I don't think I can just hit the ramp though. I think I have to get those drop targets. And I think those drop targets on the right are going to be killer. That there probably should be a left flipper where that magnet save is, and it's just not there. Which is this might be the last table we ever see that is missing something, or feels like it's missing something. Because even on this table, you can see there's just a ton of stuff. I don't think there's a way to fling a ball with a magnet particularly accurately. And you would assume your main goal here is to get a multi-ball. So how do I lock a ball? Because I've played 2 or 3 games now and I've not really seen anything like that. Does this game not have a multi-ball? That would be a very late table to not have multi-ball. At least a 2-ball multi-ball should happen. That was a pretty bad game. But even the bad games now are getting you 400,000 points. Like 100,000 points right there for basically doing nothing. It's ridiculously too large, the power creep. I guess you would just call it score creep at this point. Is there a specific screenshot, skill shot we're aiming for, or is it just straight up full power? I suppose it is the case that there are a lot of tables where full power pretty much always gets you a skill shot anyways, which it shouldn't be that easy.
My life was dull, my life was drab, till I acquired the gift of gab. Always be excellent, never be rude. The gift of gab.
Yeah, always be excellent. This clearly is supposed to be a Bill and Ted table. I guess maybe the thought was conversion kits. Like, maybe conversion kits existed a little bit more than I thought. So, they could make a table like this if it sells really well, or if they get the license later, then they could resell a conversion kit to put some branding on it. I'm having a real hard time getting the ball to hit the dope. Alright, there's a million. Now I just need to get a decent shot up there. Now it's ball 3. Honestly, this would be a table where I would just move this. Like, these drop targets have no business being here at all. Like, you've got this angle, which could bring this angle just straight down this way, and bring these drop down targets in line with this bump here. So, downward and forward. And then make this ramp a little bit longer, take up a little bit of space. If you can't do that because you have too much art on your table, that shouldn't be a consideration in my opinion. Also, obviously there should be a flipper over here. There's just no reason for there even to be a magnet if there's not going to be a flipper. The angles on the outlanes aren't terrible. The slanted drop targets, there's a lot of them for no good reason. Like, you could have dropped that down to only 3. Shooting up here works. Shooting up here works. I'm not 100% sure if me spinning or flipping the flippers actually affects that. I'm not sure if shooting the ball here is as interesting as it could be, because you could potentially instead shoot the ball like up this ramp and back to the bumpers to have a third exit. Also, I guess if the ball was jostled enough, it might just fall over this ramp and back into the in lane. I don't even think that there's a lane change. They're not mentioning it. So this is the doctor. Here's a nerdy looking character. Yeah, that's the same doctor. So I just need to get a little bit better at getting those drop down targets.
Hey, how you doing? Bonjour.
It does seem like your dude meter, though, kind of just carries over from game to game. Either that or you start it, dude. And as much as I may like these flippers, a edge shot on the tip of any flipper I guess you get into a weird point where like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and characters like that would say dude, and I would assume that they were dudes. This really goes to show just how the California teenage lingo got really adopted by a lot of TV, movies in the 80s and 90s, trying to either get with the use. Oddly, I've seen that still happen even in the 2020s, when everybody should realize that somebody picking up new lingo from Fortnite or something is not something that's going to stick around or should be copied by older people. I wish there was just a way to balance the ball even, because there's kind of nothing here as far as getting the ball to those drop down targets. I'm either gonna hit it perfectly or I'm gonna undershoot and accidentally hit the slingshots, which is a deadly shot to make the mistake on. You never want to hit these slingshots. That's one of the worst targets to hit. They will almost always end up shooting you to... they'll end up putting you in the out lane. So when I drain here, does that reset those drop down targets? Maybe, maybe not.
Head for the Mixmaster.
And once we hit the Mixmaster here.
Catch the ray.
The peg in the Mixmaster obviously is... Oh man. The peg in the Mixmaster is designed in such a way that you can get around it by either being too close to the middle or too far to the edges. And it does just feel like you get random results on the skill shot. The audio speeding up like it does doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm not sure I want a game to call me a dweeb. Like there's major dangers of any game being potentially mean or saying anything mean. Even if it's supposed to be all in good fun, you never know what would potentially trigger a player. Apparently I made it to Party Dude, which that locked a multi-ball. And then of course I immediately drop to the ball. the big shot clearly needs to be a more angled thing, because if I could hit the big shot and then it would bounce back towards the drop down targets, I would double my chances of actually hitting those targets. I mean, they are dangerously close to being targets that I could only consistently hit with nudging, and I am just not a nudge player, as you probably can tell. See, that game got 2 million and didn't really feel like a game that deserved 2 million.
Hey, how you doing? Bonjour.
I guess maybe some of what defines a dude in this game is that he is a male who can make himself sexually attractive to females. A player might be the more modern equivalent of it, although dude doesn't seem to be quite as smooth as a player thinks he is or is. And we did carry over that party dude. But then you have the just be yourself advice smack in the contradicting thought to this. Like, I would say dudes or people that want to be dudes are probably often not being themselves and putting on airs. There is some truth to not being yourself completely, because be the best version of yourself, or the version of yourself you can maintain in front of other people. Don't be a lazy slob if you happen to be a lazy slob normally. But don't completely destroy your personality in an attempt to gain a girlfriend. Like, obviously playing all these pinball tables, I'm a pinball fan. If I was seeking a girlfriend and I felt I needed to hide the fact that I like to play pinball or video games in general, that would be really ridiculous and unacceptable to me. I might give up a lot of video game time or a lot of pinball time in favor of hanging out with someone new, but I'm not gonna exclude it from my life completely. They could have put the drop-down targets on this table the other direction, and that probably would have helped a lot too. That way they would have bounced it potentially back towards the straight line drop-down targets further to the right. So the center drop-down targets, if they were angled, if they were just mirrored and pointing the other direction, would be nice. Or they could have angled also the other far right drop-down targets. Either way, there's definitely some elements to this table that need some improvement. Yeah, particularly for a 90s table, this one is gonna needs improvement as a review. I might be able to get all the standard goals if I get really lucky, and then we'll get a wizard goal that says to become a super dude, and since that seems to carry over, The magnet is because you have a magnetic personality. Yeah, that's a great example of something where a ball saver needed to kick in and it didn't. And see, a table like this isn't really helping anybody actually date a significant other. It's like, if you were gonna make a table like this, you should have like a calendar that says, remember her birthday, get her a present, take her out to a nice meal, take her to a movie. In 2021, it might be stream some shows together. Maybe even use the reference of Netflix and chill, which I don't know if it really ever does mean actually watching Netflix first before sleeping with each other. You could have in 2021 an interesting mechanic where the bumpers play parts of an actual conversation, and with each bump a new line of dialogue is spoken, and you're actively paying attention and listening to the significant other. That pop-up bully guy, he seems to like pop up a lot. Alright, that was once. Yeah, and it still just feels funny that there's not a lady making some sounds. You could take a collection of just previous female sound effects that you've used in other tables, and you'd still probably get some oohs and ahs. Some ways, some sounds of being impressed at the very least. Something. Okay, so third time here on the like third ball.
You're a cool dude.
Let's keep this ball in play. Try to and get up that Mixmaster ramp as much as possible, which I don't know if I can get up the Mixmaster ramp from the flipper on the right, on the left, I mean. So I'm gonna probably need to get a shot off with the flipper. I'm trying so hard here, and I'm missing so much. Come on, seriously, just get the ball up the ramp. Will millions at least hold on to the next ball? Please? Yes. Did not quite make it. There we go. That took 3 attempts to get that right. And now we have all the standard goals done in less than 45 minutes. Which does kind of make the table a little too easy. And I'm not really seeing a 3-ball multi-ball here. And I still would like to see a running count as far as just how many extra credits you get. Even if that was what the Hall of Fame score was and that was just not explained well, I'd like it to be explained. So we've done that. I think we've done that. I'm not sure we've done that. I'm pretty sure we haven't done that. So let's see if we can get any more of these done in about 15 minutes. So what's our target area? I don't know where we're going for, so maybe just go for blinking lights.
Hey, how you doing? Doing good.
Blinking lights may just be the best move. Well, if we want to light the gazillion shot, I wonder if that's just more of hitting the drop-down targets, or if there's something else. I feel like the gazillion shot is probably just hitting the multi-ball and jackpots, and then it probably lights gazillion for a amount of time. And if getting the far left ramp might be a shot to focus on. Might also be that you need the super dude meter to be at the fullest to get to light the gazillion shot. What starts and stops the Mixmaster is questionable too. It feels a lot like that spinning ramp in that it just moves on its own accord more than times you actually know whether you're controlling it or not. It's kind of a coincidence. Diner had a ramp that ended in a cup that you could spin around in a very different way. And that's what I was expecting to see in Diner, was a platform that spun around. And it didn't do that. And of course I wasn't expecting anything from this table. Well, hitting that ramp now probably isn't that useful. To get the reflex 1, 2, 3 bonus, do I need to hit the drop down targets in the center? Or is there something else I need to do? I think it's the drop down targets, because that spells reflex. You're really seeing here, as I'm just trying to play, that getting up that ramp is a tough shot. Requires very precise hit angles and a lot of power. And anytime you miss it, it runs the risk of draining the ball down the center of the field. Which shows that that's an angle that could have been probably curved more. if that ramp had a tendency to shoot the ball towards the right where the drop down targets are, that would be helpful. I don't know if Gazillion unlocks by hitting the ramp a lot. Because, like, at the moment, the ramp is not even lit. So, it's not giving me a particularly good indication that I should be targeting the ramp. Nor does it feel like it's really rewarding me by much by shooting the ramp multiple times.
Hey, lift it up. Test the ray.
Excellent array is now activated, whatever that means.
Test the ray.
That does seem to be making different sounds, so perhaps that is an indication of higher scores.
Test the ray.
See, I would assume that's the excellent array.
You're up, major dude. Head for the Mixmaster.
So yeah, trying to keep the ball in play, but also trying to get it up to where I think the jackpot would be. Which apparently that locked me into Super Dude. So what are we aiming for now? Gazillion's not lit. Something is blinking. Alright, there we got the special.
Hey, baby, can I buy you a cup of tea?
I'm just not sure what I'm aiming for at the moment. Once again. The Gifted Gab is blinking, the ramp on the right is blinking. So we probably should aim some shots to the right. Million is lit. Maybe we shouldn't bother to get the millions and instead try to go with gazillions. That was the Reflex 1, 2, 3 bonus, I believe. And an extra ball. There isn't even really a light that says you have an extra ball. Well, it's not in the normal place. I guess there is a light. It's just to the left. So a pretty good game, pretty good ball there. Watch as it immediately gets balanced out. That was ball 1 too. Also, I don't feel like we did get the 1, 2, 3 reflex bonus, or we already had gotten that. Oddly, no wizard goal
Hey, how you doing? Bonjour.
for, yeah, seemingly no wizard goal requirement for getting Super Dude. So definitely after this table, we're gonna have to figure out how to get the gazillion score lit. I assume it's a multi-ball thing.
Head for the mix master. Catch the ray. Catch the ray.
Yeah, at this point, if I can get the shrink ray shot,
Catch the ray.
or whatever ray it is, I will get up to Super Dude.
Catch the ray. Catch the ray.
It's fairly difficult to get the ball from the left flipper to the right flipper. This is one of those tables where
Catch the ray.
getting really good at being able to flick the ball over probably would benefit you quite a bit. Notice that I have not been doing that at all on any of the tables because it's not something I know how to do very well. And it's a fairly risky pro move. Not for the likes of amateurs like me.
Whoa!
So that was an 18 million score on a table that seems like it could give you millions on millions, but probably not a gazillion, because a gazillion actually would be like a billion million or a billion billion or something like that. Alright, to score the reflex, well, it's another great way to score points. To activate this mode, complete the bank of reflex target spots. Each hit of an unlit target spot scores 25,000 points. Each hit of a lit one scores 10,000 points. Once the bank of reflex spot targets is completed, it lights reflex 1 at the saucer. When this is shot, shoot the saucer, which then lights reflex 2 for 12 seconds. At the gift of gab. Alright, so that's going to be fairly hard to do. And then that lights reflex 3 at the magnetic personality spot for about 12 seconds when this is lit, shooting the magnetic personality spot targets. So there are literally 3 different places you have to target that shot. Multi-ball is a 2-ball mode. To activate it, you must complete the following steps in this order. Collect each of the element of coolness 3 times. Hit one of the spot targets inside the mix molecule. I didn't even know there was a spot target down there that you were hitting. Lock a ball in the activated excellent ray saucer and then launch a new ball on the playfield. Once multi-ball is activated, shoot the ramp to send the balls to the molecule. Mix master, the goal is to hit any combination of the spot targets inside of the molecule. Mix master 10 times to score the jackpot. Jackpot ranges from 1 million to 5 million. Each time one of the elements of coolness is collected 3 times, it increases the jackpot. Each time the ball is locked by the excellent ray saucer, it increases the jackpot. The jackpot reverts to 1 million once each multi-ball ends. Once the jackpot is scored, the number of spot target hit required to score the jackpot, it increases by 10. This continues to increase by 10 times each time it's scored. Value of the jackpot can be doubled by completing the bank drop targets while multi-ball is activated. So that's double jackpot. Each time the multi-ball is activated, it will advance the dude-o-meter. The dude-o-meter are plain dude, party dude, cool dude, major dude, super dude. The current dude-o-meter carries over from game to game unless you quit out to the main menu or restart Pinball Arcade. Once the dude-o-meter advances to super dude, it lights up the ramp for the gazillion point shot. When this is lit, shoot the ramp. It sends the ball to the molecule mixmaster. When the ball is in the molecule mixmaster, each hit on inside the spot target scores 5 million. The gazillion point shot turns off once it's scored. Multi-ball ends once 2 balls are drained. Once one of the 2 balls are drained. Once multi-ball ends, all of the scoring on the table is doubled for the rest of the current ball. If you fail to score the gazillion point shot before the multi-ball, you'll start at Super Dude next time the multi-ball starts. If you did get the gazillion, it goes back to plain Dude. Okay. So we kind of know what we need to do now. And yeah, some of those wizard goals, basically not fair. What we're seeing here is greediness on the part of the table designers to really only let you have success by the 5th to 10th game, which means they want you to put in multiple quarters and not just play one game over and over again. I guess you could get all the way from plain Dude to Dude, Super Dude in one game. It just seems like that would be really unlikely to happen. So our goal is to hit as many of the rollover targets, which I thought those were just screws, and then hit that. Alright, so we're now for Reflex 2, which is the Gift of Gab. And Gazillion is now shot, so we kind of don't have to shoot for a Gazillion as much as it would seem. Let's instead see if we can get double jackpot. Nope, nope. Instead we'll just get the Gazillion reward since we drained the ball. Okay. So I need to get good at hitting 3 different locations on this table. I need to be able to hit the saucer on the ramp on the left. I need to be able to hit the Gift of Gab on the right. And then I need to hit the Magnetic Personality. Added one more tilt warning. Interesting. That's an interesting extra that probably won't get used very much. Like,
My life was dull, my life was drab, till I acquired the gift of gab. Always be excellent, never be rude. Get the gift of gab from Dr. Dude.
and it would be quite a long time before we would actually be able to get back to Super Dude. I also need to be able to shoot the ball up the center towards the reflex. Reflex blinkers. I guess the table doesn't call you a dweeb that often, but still does stand out. Hit the blinking drop target in the center first. Or just go for a multi-ball, which that would also work for the double jackpot. And getting multi-ball also would probably not hurt as far as increasing our odds of getting the reflex 1, 2, 3 ready to go. Come on. Jackpot set to maximum. There. Ball 3, start the reflex 1, 2, 3.
Whoa!
Well, this in particular puts you in a weird position, or puts me in a weird position, because I don't like this table. Not really. But I did very well on this table. There's no denying that. It would really probably only take maybe an hour to 3 to get these 2 wizard goals left. Let's see if we can figure out the... Display test, sound test, all lamps, single lamps, coil test, switch levels, switch edges, flasher test, Dr. Dude, domestic level 2, factory altered ID 02, left coins, center coins, right coins, paid credits, total plays. None of these are accurate at all. I feel like some of this is very much just made up. HSTD. I don't even know what that would stand for. High score. Something. Minutes of play. Balls played. Replay awards. Some of these statistics and audits would be great, but they should just be integrated into all of the tables. It would be very, very easy to start a counter every time you played and just increase that into your statistics. And I think Pinball FX has all that. It really goes to show. Like, I can't really complain too much about Williams and Bailey taking their licenses away from Pinball Arcade when you have a completely different company that seems to be doing a much smarter job about modernizing the event of playing pinball, which it is more of an event than just a common affair. Alright, so there's reflex 1, 2, 3. Hit that, and then we've got to... Let's see. I don't think I hit that in time. So you hit this, then you've got to do that, then you've got to get the shot perfect. And I just don't think you're gonna pull that off. And when you hit the ball into the gift of gab area, then it's gonna shoot it down to this, and you're only gonna have a brief amount of time at that point to hit this. And it's crazy. I still don't know how this table starts multi-ball. I still don't know how to lock the ball. See, even trying to fling the ball to kind of give me some help there is not really enough. So at least I know you actually have to hit the magnet back there too. But like so many other tables, getting up a ramp is not something you're going to be able to pull off. And hitting these a whole bunch of times really is not going to do anything. Although it does seem like it stacks rewards. If you were gonna have this be so focused around things, you probably should have had some kind of bumper or something focused around this, and this probably should be something that's in an upper play field. Or even an under the table playfield, which we haven't seen that gimmick done. Interesting, we just managed to put the ball back into the ramp. And seemingly hitting that over and over again does seem to kind of do the same thing over and over again. So let's see if we can actually get the ball up the ramp. Special is lit and 1 million was lit, and we can see that the ramp still is flashing million, so I can hit back up to that. And I guess maybe getting the million or something else, maybe just the area of the Mixmaster is what lights the lock. That might be the case. I've turned the ball follow on, which is a mistake, of course, but I want to see if I can get the ball to follow and then control the ball while on the spinning platform in the Mixmaster. Right, so yeah, you kind of can. You can kind of just go up there. But it doesn't seem to me like that's really doing anything more after a certain point. Once you get 10 lit up, it doesn't seem like it increases your multiplayer. It doesn't seem like it. And apparently hitting the rollover does start the Mixmaster again. Oh, okay. Well, we've at least learned something. Every single thing is lit over here. Special, free play, extra ball. And reflex 2. And multi-ball. And that's just kind of crazy to potentially have two separate things going on at the same time, or 3 or 4 separate things going on at the same time. I did not hit the magnetic personality fast enough to get the reflexology, reflex 1, 2, 3 bonus. nor have I hit enough to get a double jackpot, which theoretically that's what I should be doing. Is hitting that for a double jackpot. I think I probably have already earned my one jackpot, so I don't think I can get another jackpot without starting a new multi-ball. Nope, did get a double jackpot. And it seemed like they called that a tilt jackpot. Which I think that pretty much highlights how much work. I'm up to 31 million at this point. Yeah, that pretty much highlights how much work it would be to get a double jackpot. And it's pretty much impossible to to get the 1, 2, 3 reflex. It's just going to be a lucky thing that has to happen. Or perhaps more accurately, a very skilled shot. You know, when I think about tables like Gone Nuts that starts with a multi-ball and really tries fairly hard to let you just keep on playing, and yet that table was incredibly dull and didn't really have that much going on for it. This is the kind of table where it makes a lot more sense to potentially start with a multi-ball every turn and try really hard to keep the player playing. Because there are definitely things here that you're not going to pull off, even with a free multi-ball. We've been going an hour and 20 minutes though, so I should call it a day. This is once again a table I can't really put down, even though I don't really love it.
You're a party dude!
Okay. It's the magnet. It wouldn't have mattered even if I had done the 1, 2, 3 because we're still cheating anyways. I have to remind myself of that. I don't even know what brought up the multiplier. Yeah, this table does have a multiplier. I don't know what you hit to bring it up. For as much as we hit the big shot, you'd think that would be the multiplier increase. We're hitting the guitar and the big shot combined. It's crazy to be so close to getting everything, all the wizard goals done, and not even really understand everything about the table. Because there is a certain desire and beauty in understanding a table better, or fully understanding it. The end of ball bonus. When you lose a ball, you earn an end of ball bonus that starts at 2,000 and can be increased to a maximum of 198,000 points. Each time the element of coolness is collected, it increases the bonus by 2,000 points. Elements of coolness Our gift is the Gab, heart of rock and roll, magnetic personality. Each shot into a saucer increases it by 2,000, 2,000. Each completed drop targets completes it. Each completion of the roll lane, the in lanes. Each completion of the out lanes. There's also an end of ball bonus booster that can be advanced up to 6 times. Each time the bank of drop targets is completed, it advances the ball bonus booster by 2x. So, like, everything on this table is built around hitting those drop targets. Just terrible design. Really, really terrible design. And some of this you could fix easily. Like I said before, you can move these drop targets. You could also reduce it down to 3 instead of 2, or angle them. You could have the big shot and the heart of rock and roll being hit be the things that increase the ball multiplier. This shot is a little too tight, so I would probably want to widen the angle on this one. This shot maybe could be a little bit closer if you're not going to bother to put a flipper there, or just put a flipper there. This shot's fine. This shot is not great and doesn't get used much, so it could have been left on the cutting room floor. These screws, which I thought that's what they were, apparently are somehow sensing things, and I can now see that there are 3 stationary targets in each corner. So there's some red, green, and blue that I didn't even know existed, which goes to show how useless they are. Plus, just getting rid of the flashing lights and the wires would probably make more sense, because you have like these wires connecting to this, but then they don't really seem to serve any purpose. I don't think hitting this then collects you another piece of the gift of Gab or anything like that. The fact that these pop-ups are so small goes to really highlight the unnecessary amount of space that's being taken up. This shot in the far back for a skill shot is pointless because you either hit it almost always, if not always. These targets could be reduced or flipped and angled so that they would go that way, or both. There's kind of nothing happening behind this ramp, so the ramp is taking up a decent amount of space too because of its sharp angle. Nothing really happens with the magnetic personality. The theme is dumb, in my opinion. This guy seems ridiculous too. And yet, I still ended up doing very, very well on this table. So I can't say I absolutely hated it. There is something to be said for just making a table that plays well, and that's all sometimes you need. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.